But first, a special report from El Salvador, where there are growing concerns about the number of children and women being imprisoned without a fair trial. The Central American country introduced tough laws last year to tackle the shocking numbers of murders and violent crime carried out by gangs. But the United Nations, among others, say the measures have come at the expense of human rights, with arbitrary arrests, torture and deaths. In 2015, there were more than 6,500 murders in El Salvador, the worst murder rate in the world. By last year, the number of murders had fallen by 92% to fewer than 500. The current prison population there has now swelled to between 90 and 100,000. But more than 1,000 children and 8,000 women have been arrested and detained. And one investigation found only 30% of those arrested actually have links to gangs. Our correspondent, Dan Rivers, travelled to El Salvador and sent this report.
In El Salvador's war against gangs, there is no mercy. Inmates are treated like enemy combatants, prisoners of a war where the rule of law is often ignored. The country's new mega prison is the largest in Latin America, space for 40,000. As this footage released by the government shows, some are barely adults. Once feared members of the MS-13 or Barrio 18 crime networks are off the streets and forced into submission.
My life ended the day they took my children away from me.
Yvette Toledo lives with the legacy of their murderous reign. She has permanent police protection after her son and daughter were decapitated by the gangs.
Mi vida ahora es bien diferente en todas las áreas.
My life is very different now in every way. They didn't just take away half of my life. They took away my dreams and the future I had with them.
But the anguish isn't confined to the victims of the gangs. Plenty of innocent people have been rounded up as the government tries to tackle them. Carla's husband, Milton, is being transferred to the mega prison after a police raid last year.
The police killed them, they shot them with guns.
In which she claims officers executed her cousin and beat her.
That was a horrible day because we lived a humble life, but we lived well. We had everything. And in 1 second, they destroyed everything. It's awful.
The authorities here have extraordinary powers under the state of emergency declared in March last year.
In different places we catch them.
We're on patrol with the army in what used to be a no-go zone for them. As we climb further into this former gangland, suddenly the loud rap music draws their attention. Play the wrong songs here, and this happens. The teenager seems to know the drill. They check him for tattoos, even on his scalp. This used to be one of the most dangerous areas in El Salvador, but now, as you can see, the army are very keen to show us they're in control. Normality is returning here, but it's been imposed down the barrel of a gun. At night, the police patrols are even more risky. We're following a so-called rapid intervention raid on one of the poorest neighbourhoods. Dark alleys and nervous residents as the police move through. Here officers arrest an alleged gang collaborator. They won't tell us what evidence they have against this shopkeeper, but they admit he'll be sent to prison and will wait months for a trial. Being young and male here is a risky business.
The findings of our investigation show only 30% of those that have been detained under the state of emergency laws have any kind of link with the gangs.
Soyapango used to be a battlefield where 3 gangs fought for supremacy. Now its streets hum with life again. But everywhere there are dark memories. The corner of the football pitch was where gang members executed anyone who resisted them.
The kid was from a rival area controlled by the Mau Mau gang.
Ellen Nielsen remembers the bad days. During a match, he saw gang members killing a 16-year-old player in front of hundreds of spectators.
The man shot him. Then he took out the magazine, put another bullet in, then shot him again. He shot him about 20 times.
They tried to create a parallel state.
El Salvador's security minister likens the gangs to terrorists, insisting the crackdown was necessary to rebuild society.
And of course, you can see the people on our street with hope.
But what about the claims that innocent people have been arrested as well?
Tell me which police of whatever country that you choose is only capture guilty people.
The government's not just locking up living gang members, but also expunging all trace of those who've died. By destroying their graves, they are dismantling their legacy. The crackdown has brought peace, but at what cost? Dan Rivers, ITV News, El Salvador.